Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm going to be jumping on and talking about my motorsport journey and what I do. I'm Holly Russell. I'm a 19-year-old girl and originally from New Zealand, based in Brisbane, Australia. I have been doing motorsport my whole entire life. So let's take it right back to the very start of my motorsport career. So I remember at 4 years old, I jumped onto a quad bike, raced that for a bit, local club days, jumped onto a dirt bike, rode that when I was younger. And then at 7 years old, I got introduced to four wheels. I remember years ago, I was following my dad around to tracks. He was racing off-road at that time, and I was sitting on the sidelines, and I remember I really wanted to do this. I saw these little kids in these like Kiwi trucks driving around, and I was like, I really want to be in one of those cars. And then a couple months later, I think it was either my birthday or Christmas, and I remember walking into the shed and there was a chassis sitting there, and I was like, nothing to it, literally just a chassis. And I was sitting there and I was like it's a little bit confused to start with, and then Dad started to explain what it was, and I was just like, what the heck, this was a dream come true. So my dad bought me a chassis from the start, from scratch, and then we put it all together, got to our first race event, went out, did really well, was at the back of the pack for pretty much majority of my season, and then I was pretty much just driving that car to the full potential it could go to. So then my dad was like, we need to step it up another level. So then he went and brought a mod cart from America. So in America, they're called mod carts. In New Zealand, they're called Kiwi trucks. And he, shipped one over to New Zealand for me and surprised me with that. And that was like, okay, I need to drive this faster now. Still had the same engine in it, just a different chassis and different parts on the car. So I remember going out and, my race, I'm still building my racecraft to this day. But when I was super young, that was the start of building my racecraft. And so when I got into that car, I was a little bit nervous because it was faster, just because it was just a different chassis, right? So different style of car. For me to drive. And when I got into it for my first race, I didn't have any expectations. I was like, let's just go out here and drive this car, and I did pretty well. So throughout my season in that chassis, I was doing really well. I was, mid kind of pack, and then towards the end of the season, I was starting to get podiums, and I got my first title in that car, which was really cool. So then I was like, okay, time to step it up, and so we put a sequential gearbox in that same chassis. It was like a 250 motorbike engine. We went out and ran that for another season, for a couple of seasons actually, and I got another title in that car. So I was really starting to build up my racecraft then, and I was getting more podiums in that car. And then after that, we sold that off and we went into something a little bit bigger. At this point, I was about 14, 15, 16. I was in this car for a couple of seasons, and it was a stadium buggy from the States. My dad brought it in from the States, and we ran the stadium buggy, which is called a Class 5 in New Zealand. And ran that for a couple of seasons. I got another title in that car, which was pretty cool because, at that point now you're starting to race adults in that class. And so, I was just like a young little teenager girl in this car, and I had, grown adults next to me barging, and it was a little bit terrifying at the start, but I felt like the more I was in that class and the more I built my confidence in that class, it felt a little bit more comfortable. So I got another title in that car, got a lot of podiums, and I did very well in that car. And then after that, I was like looking at Speedway, and I remember going to Speedway a couple of Saturday nights, and I really wanted to get into it. So I started going Saturday nights, started going down into the pits and just networking, communicating with people, seeing what people actually do and how the sport runs, because me and my dad, my family, we didn't have any idea on Speedway. We didn't know how it worked and things. So I started going to watch and really just look at what everyone was doing. And then there was 2 teams there, and so I reached out to them and they got back to me. And then later down the track, I got a drive with BSL Racing for the 25-26 season in an F2 Midget. So I was pretty stoked with that. BSL Racing is a really good team to drive for. Very knowledgeable people in that area. And so when I started racing for them, I learned so much. I met so many new people in the sport. I learned what the sport was about, how it all works. And so I remember getting in for my first race in the F2 Midget at Western Springs. I think my first practice was at Western Springs. My first race was either at Western Springs or Bay Park. I think it was Western Springs. But anyways, I got in and I couldn't keep the car. I couldn't even turn the car. Like, I was just driving here, there, and everywhere. It was so different. Like, I'm so not used to, you know, keeping the throttle on. Like, in the off-road car, I was literally down on the throttle or I was off the throttle. But I felt in the midget, you had to be super, super consistent with the throttle. You couldn't be super aggressive with the throttle in the midget. So that was such a learning curve in itself. There was so much more I learned. But it was a good season. One of my accomplishments in the season was my 3rd ever race at Bay Park. It was the Aotearoa F2 Midget title, and I was running super good throughout the night. My heats were really good, went into the feature, and I actually got 3rd place. So I actually podiumed in that title. So I was pretty stoked with that, obviously considering it was my 3rd ever race in the car. So that really gave me a good confidence boost. And then throughout the season, I was doing really well. Different tracks. I was at different tracks all the time. So there was a lot to learn in that season. And then after that season, I decided to move over to Australia for a different lifestyle, more opportunity. I didn't really have any expectations for running this season in Australia, but I did really want to plan and work something out for the following season. And then I was fortunate enough to have a drive in a LS sprint car over in Australia. So I was running around about 4 meetings in that car. Super, super grateful to have that opportunity. I learned a lot, and yeah, there has been a lot of learning over in Australia currently. Different tracks. The tracks are super banked, super, super fast compared to New Zealand tracks. And obviously I'm in a sprint car, wing above my head, so completely different car. So I feel like from, you know, where I was at the start of, you know, my Speedway journey and season to now, I feel like I've definitely learned a lot about Speedway. I've networked a lot, and I've built a really good social media following as well. So a lot of this has helped my racing career. Also, while being over in Australia, I actually did ride a motocross bike for about a month. I was actually getting ready for a race in Roma for one of my sponsors. So I started to get ready on the dirt bike, and then unfortunately that meeting got cancelled due to the weather. So unfortunately that didn't happen, but the prep in riding the dirt bike was out of control. It is so, so hot over here. So I had to adjust riding the dirt bike over here, but it was an experience, and riding different tracks over in Australia was an experience in itself. So I'm super grateful for where I'm at, for where I am right now. There's been a lot of learning over these last 10 months I've been in Australia. So I am currently in Australia. I don't have a drive at the moment. I'm working as much as I possibly can to get myself into another seat for next season. There's always opportunities that open up, and so I always feel that you just got to keep super positive. You got to keep working every single day, and things will come if you are putting in 50% of that work. All right, so now it's time to talk a little bit about what I do on the side of racing. So because I've built all my platforms up on social media, I am actually earning from these platforms now. So I think I'm running about 4 or 5 different platforms, and they are all making me some sort of income. And so I think how I word this to you guys is, this is what I do. This is what helps me get to where I am. My social media obviously pays me to do what I do, document my lifestyle, talk to you guys about what I do. And so I've been building this for about 4 years. So ever since I was about 13, 12, I remember, I was at school and I was doing all this social media stuff and I was getting hate and I, really couldn't handle it. So I remember back in those days where it was not normal to do what I was doing. I feel now, a lot more people are doing what I'm doing, so it feels natural. But I feel like when I was at school, I was surrounded with the same people every single day that didn't want to do this social media stuff. And I knew that I had a different mindset towards it. I was like, I want to do this, I want to document, and I want to see how far it takes me. And so now, 4 years later, this is where I am, and now this is my income. I'm making money off all my platforms. And so I think looking back, I knew that I didn't want to stop. The hate got really, really bad to the point where I wasn't in a good state. I was not best mentally. I feel like all the hate that I've been getting over the last couple of years is just something that you got to deal with if you put yourself out on social media this much, like I do. And now I am at the point where I'm making an income off it. So opinions to me are just like something that gets thrown in the rubbish straight away. So that's kind of a bit of what I do. I also am a qualified personal trainer. So a couple of years ago, I was, personal training and doing all my gym side of work. So I'm grateful for my social media to be taking over and building every single day. So apart from that, that's kind of my journey in motorsport up to this day. I am super excited to be on YouTube now, documenting everything that I do and showing you guys the behind the scenes of what it's really like to chase a goal and dream of what I have in place for me. But apart from that, you guys can't show me enough support. You guys support me so much on social media, on all my platforms. So thank you guys so much. If you guys are watching this video and you guys haven't subscribed yet, please do. It supports me a lot. Make sure you guys like and comment. Also, comment below your next video you want to see from me. See you guys.